The Australian takeover of NASCAR has taken another step. I mean, first it was Shane Van Gisbergen getting announced that he was going to run a one-off race at Chicago. Then he won that race at Chicago. Now he's running multiple races. Well, then after that, it's announced that he is leaving Australia to run in NASCAR in 2024 for multiple series. Well, then between somewhere in the middle of there, another Australian Supercars driver, Brodie Kostecki, announces that he's going to race for a one-off at Indianapolis. He does that. Now it's announced that he's going to do multiple races in 2024. And now, once again, the Australians have taken another big step into NASCAR, which I enjoy, by the way. This is not like a bad thing. It's probably sounding really bad, but I enjoy it. I really like it. I love the international community coming to NASCAR and enjoying NASCAR. Erebus Motorsport, or Erebus, I'm just going to say Erebus this whole video. If it's pronounced wrong, I'm so sorry. But Erebus Motorsport, which is a team currently in the Supercars series in Australia, is currently planning to enter into some NASCAR races in 2024. That is right. You heard me right. You read the title of this video right. All that is correct. The Supercars team that I think is leading the championship right now, that Brodie Kostecki races for, is currently planning on racing in NASCAR in 2024. They already have renderings of some paint schemes. There are some slight problems with this paint scheme. Number one is that the number 99 is already taken in the NASCAR Cup Series. Daniel Suarez has that number, so this paint scheme is not 100% confirmed, accurate. Also, it says Erebus atop the windshield. Usually they put the NASCAR logo and a driver name. But we're not going to pick down this paint scheme inch by inch because that's not what we're here to talk about. We are here to talk about the actual reports that Erebus Motorsport is actually going to compete in NASCAR in 2024. They are a Chevrolet team that is a big part of this, I believe, in the Supercar series. And, of course, Brodie Kostecki raced for Richard Childress Racing in that one-off at Indianapolis, in which he finished, I believe, 22nd. He qualified 11th. But Kostecki, he raced for Richard Childress Racing, a Chevy team. He's had connections to Richard Childress Racing in the past. He's talked about it before, about how these discussions started in really the beginning of the year, but it wasn't really finalized until the summer after the whole SVG hype that happened after his win. Well, now that Kostecki wants to take another shot in the US of A at NASCAR, he is now wanting to do more races, as I think I just said. Sometimes I confuse myself and I overthink it. Anyways, Kostecki would most likely be racing for Richard Childress Racing, but it sounds like that his Supercars team could come over, and this is all depending on the schedule for Supercars and NASCAR. But here's what the report says. Erebus Motorsport plans to enter some NASCAR races in 2024, capitalizing on its relationship with Richard Childress Racing and driver Brodie Kostecki's desire to explore more action stateside in 24 and beyond. The exact nature of the campaign will not be known until the release of the 2024 Supercar and NASCAR calendars, but CEO Barry Ryan says this is not a pipe dream or a publicity stunt. It is real, and providing calendars align, it will happen. It is something we've talked about for a while, and I've always told Betty, which is team founder Betty Klemenko, that it should be something we look at, Ryan explained. With Brodie having so much interest in it too, and with what he did, it's silly not to keep developing our relationship with RCR for the benefit of both teams. RCR definitely sees value in it for their road course program, and we see value in it. If we can send more staff over there and get some experience in between events, it's invaluable. If we can cycle some of our crew over there and some engineering staff like George and Tom, got to be honest with you NASCAR fans, I got no idea who they are, but they are engineering staff. I know that much. We can always learn something. That's why for a period there, I did Spa 24 hours, Dubai 24 hours, Macau, and all those races because you just learn so much. Ryan said the timing is right. Erebus has nailed the Gen 3 transition and is working on winning its first team and drivers championship, both of which it leads heading into Bathurst. And he says this is not a distraction, rather it will help across the board next year. Just as drivers need more races, he says the crew does too, and the alignment between the cars and engineering philosophies make it a good time to dabble in the world's largest touring car series. It's like trying to step into supercars from another country. We'll probably go slowly, and we're just in the planning phase at the moment without forgetting what we've got to do here first, he said. I'd love to one day think we've got everything but a pit crew doing NASCAR because it's so specialized and they do so much practice that we'd have to have a car and all the equipment here to practice it. But I think having a couple of mechanics and maybe George or Tom in the pit box with another crew chief guiding them and contributing to engineering and strategic decisions would be an amazing experience, and that can only make us better here. Well, then later in the article, it kind of talks about how the team owner, Betty, what was her name? Betty Klemenko, I think it was. She talked about a few years ago that she had wanted to explore other racing series outside of Australia. And of course, NASCAR, while geographically it's a long way away, if you compare the cars today, that would be, technically, mechanically, engineeringly, that would make a lot of sense. The cars are very similar. I think parts of the current NASCAR car, which is the next gen car, part of it is based off of the supercar because NASCAR wanted to make a car that could race on the road courses better, the short tracks better, the heavy braking tracks better. And so the supercars, obviously, kind of a stock car that they run on tons of road courses, street courses. And NASCAR, now that they've implemented that, this is a great opportunity for a supercars team like Erebus that has wanted to race outside of Australia. This is their opportunity. The cars are more similar. No, they are not the same exactly, but there are similar aspects to it, I'm sure. I'm not an engineering person or a mechanic at all, but, there are some similar aspects, I'm sure. But there are also a lot of difficulties in this. As Barry Ryan said, that's a big transition because, one, you are far, far away. Two, there's a lot of different aspects. As I said, yes, there will be some similarities with the car, but the fact of the matter is you're on the other side of the globe. I think he said something about the pit crews and, the strategy, the schedules. The schedules have to work out. That is the one big factor to this, is that if Erebus wants to indeed go NASCAR racing in 2024 as their own team, they have got to make sure it works on their schedule, because the fact of the matter is I don't think that they will interrupt a run at a Supercars championship to go race in, let's call it 5 NASCAR Cup Series races next year. While it would be a big opportunity for them, it would really help them, I'm sure, over here in the States, just with the attention and all that. The fact of the matter is, I think winning a championship is a bigger deal for them in Australia than winning a cup race. I know that SVG, it was a big deal for him to come over here and win a Cup Series race. And, now he's coming over full-time to the U.S. But Erebus, I don't know what their full or long-time plans are, if they're going to eventually have a full-time Cup Series team. But it sounds like Richard Childress Racing, who is currently a full-time Cup Series team, has been for quite a while now. They're a historic team. They've won a ton of championships in the past. They haven't won one since Dale Earnhardt in 1994, I think, but they have had championship contending years. They have still won races. Kyle Busch is one. He's a future NASCAR Hall of Famer. He just joined the team this year. He has 3 wins on the season. Austin Dillon's won a couple of races in his career for Richard Childress Racing. So RCR has proven in the past couple of years they are slowly getting back to that relevance that they used to be in the 90s and in the 80s with the winning multiple races a year, competing for championships, but they are still climbing. And one of the things that they kind of, other than Tyler Reddick last year, one of the things they've struggled at, I feel like, is road courses. Austin Dillon has never been a good road course racer. As I said, Tyler Reddick was the only bright spot of their road course, really anything, last year. Like, Tyler Reddick won 2 races on road courses last year. This year, they're winless on road courses. And bringing over a team who runs only on road courses and street courses, that's huge for them. I think RCR could learn something from Erebus. And so I think that's a big opportunity for them. Maybe financially it could hurt them a little bit. I don't know. Like, you're spending more money on a car to help them or develop things, give them information. But if Erebus were to run as an independent team, they would not be guaranteed a spot into the race. There's a charter system. 36 spots are guaranteed every race for the teams who have a charter. So if you own a charter, you race in every single race of the year and you are guaranteed a spot. No matter if you qualify 50th or first, you're guaranteed a spot. 40 cars is the maximum amount of cars in the field. So that means 4 open cars can be in the field. So you got the 36 charter cars, and then you have 4 open cars that could be in the field. So if 45 cars attempt to qualify, you've got the 36 charters guaranteed a spot, but only 4 of those 9 open teams get to make the field. So let's say it's the 36 normal teams we see every week. We get a Beard Motorsports car. I'm naming the part-time cars for NASCAR next year for you Australian people who may not watch NASCAR all the time. There may be a Beard Motorsports car. That's number 37. Live Fast is going to be an open car next year. That's 38. Let's say the money team, they come back out of hibernation. That's 39. And then you got the team Erebus 40, and you've got Team Heseberg. They revive, and they've got 2 cars in the entries. That's 41 cars. So 1 car is going to make or miss the cut. So Team Erebus Motorsport, they would have to out-qualify 1 of those open cars to make the Cup Series field. So it would not be a guarantee every week, but at the same time, there's also not more than 40 cars qualifying for every race. The only time we consistently see more than 40 cars enter into the field is the Daytona 500. That is the biggest race in NASCAR. It's the beginning of the season. Other than that, usually we see 36 to 38 cars every week. So Team Erebus Motorsport, if they were to make this run at NASCAR, it's realistic. If they just go to your road courses, if they just go to, Circuit of the Americas, Sonoma, Watkins Glen, there's not going to be more than 40 entries in those races. I think they would be almost guaranteed a spot, but that would be the one kind of hiccup in this project. But I'm excited if this ends up working out. Once again, the NASCAR 2024 schedule is expected on Wednesday. So once we get that full schedule, once we get the Supercars schedule, I got to be honest, I have no idea when that's coming out. Once we can put those side by side and kind of find the gaps in the Supercar date, if there's a NASCAR road course, I'm assuming, that can fit into that puzzle piece, I think then Team Erebus could very well be over here in the United States racing. We don't know any details. It would seem like Brodie Kostecki would be driving the car, obviously. But there would be some funding, maybe some help from Richard Childress Racing. But as for sponsorship, I don't know if Coca-Cola would come over, but RCR does have ties with Coca-Cola. Austin Dillon is sponsored by Coca-Cola. So, but once more details are released, I will let you guys know. I just thought this was an interesting story, a fun story, but a potential new team in NASCAR, the Cup Series. I think that's fun. And once again, the Australian takeover is happening. SVG, Brodie Kostecki, and now a whole team. They're taking over NASCAR. But thank you guys for watching. Once again, thank you for the support the past few days on the channel. I've really appreciated it. I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day, rest of your night, morning, wherever you are. Not sure what time it is, but have a good rest of your calendar time.